We have quite a bit to talk about tonight. One, I think something that a lot of us are really looking forward to, especially around the Great Lakes region, is the fact that we finally have a warm up in store for us going into this coming weekend and then definitely into next week. And a lot of what that's going to come down to is the jet stream. So take a look at this map here, and I'm sure you're noticing that blob of blue that is near Minneapolis. It's kind of centered there. That is our upper level low pressure system that's really been bringing us this cooler air and kind of this showery activity for the last couple of days as well. But watch what happens as I set this map in motion and run us throughout the next couple of days. Notice how that low pressure system finally begins to take off toward the east, and that blue shading representing that cooler than normal air mass that's in place is finally going to start to weaken across the area as well. So we're looking at some relief from the cool temperatures by late this week, but the time frame that we're really going to notice the biggest difference is going to be late in the weekend and then into next week. Watch what happens going into next week. What I want you to focus on is notice how we have this really large ridge that's developing across a good portion of the U.S. That's right here. This is our jet stream that's going to take off to the north. And as it does that, it's going to allow those southerly winds to take hold. So that warmer air from places like the Gulf going to be able to surge northward. And that's where we're going to be picking up our heat for next week. So next week, a lot of models are really bringing the Chicago area well into the 80s. And it's not just our location that's going to be seeing above average temperatures. Take a look at the temperature outlook. This comes from the Climate Prediction Center, and it's really centered across the Chicago area, places like Wisconsin, Western Michigan. That darker shade of orange that you see here on this map, that's suggesting that we are strongly favored to see above average conditions. So that's for June 2nd through June 6th, which happens to be Monday through Friday of next week. But then advancing that into the second week of June, we're still strongly favored to be warmer than average. So those summer-like temperatures that it feels like we've been waiting on for a really long time, they are finally going to start to move into the region going into early next week, and then likely sticking around into the second week as well. Let's talk about the drought monitor now. So the latest data always comes out on Thursday mornings. So what you're probably noticing here, the red shades, you can assume that that is the worst of the drought. That's what we're seeing across the southern portions of the U.S., the southwestern U.S. If we zoom things in, you can see all the way from Vegas down into Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, and then definitely over into portions of southwestern Texas, considered to be in an extreme or an exceptional drought. But the good news is that we've had this stalled out front in this region that's actually been generating quite a few showers and thunderstorms over the last couple of days. So hopefully we see a dent in this drought when we get that updated data on Thursday morning. Locally, here's what we're dealing with across the Great Lakes region. So in Michigan, near the Bay region, there's a severe drought near Midland. Here at home in the Chicagoland area, this tan shading that you're seeing here, this is a moderate drought. So this actually expanded last week when the new data came out, even with all of the showers that were rolling through. And I've gotten a lot of questions on social media. How are we actually in a moderate drought when we've been dealing with cloud cover and on and off showers? We've been kind of stuck in this wet weather pattern for a while now, but it all comes down to the last 30 days or so. Let's talk about these numbers. So this map that you're seeing now, what this is representing is the percentage of normal rainfall that we've picked up in the last 30 days. And you'll notice that there's a good portion of us that have only seen about 35 to 45% of the normal rainfall that we would typically see over the past 30 days. So we are definitely in a deficit. Now, we do have showers in the forecast for tonight and then also into our day tomorrow, but it's not going to be a drought buster. We don't have a good soaker coming through really anytime soon. And the type of showers that we're going to be dealing with tomorrow, it's not even going to be widespread. Not everybody's even going to see that rain. I think it's going to be a little more scattered in nature. So futurecast precipitation, this is representative of the rainfall that we had today, in addition to what we're expecting tomorrow. And to be honest, I kind of think this model's overdoing it. Do I think the good portion of the area is going to be picking up a ½ inch of rain? No, I don't. I think we're going to be closer to about a ¼ inch for a lot of us that do end up picking up those showers. But there are going to be a couple exceptions, because tomorrow, especially in the morning, the midday hours in the Chicagoland area, we're going to have brief heavy downpours being possible. So that definitely could add up to being around a ½ inch in a couple spots, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as widespread like what this model is suggesting here. Satellite and radar, we've been kind of locked in with cloud cover for the last couple of hours. We have scattered showers across portions of northwest Indiana, but what I want you to focus on is this batch that's further off to our west. So moving through portions of Minnesota, Iowa, and Missouri. Those are the showers that are going to be advancing toward the area tonight and then likely for your morning commute on Wednesday. So throughout the Chicagoland area, we're going to be dealing with rain. That's also going to work its way over into Michigan as well. Zooming things out even further, we do have a couple areas dealing with severe thunderstorms this evening. So if you think back to the drought monitor, when I was showing you that across southwestern Texas, I mentioned how they've been dealing with quite a few rounds of showers and thunderstorms. Well, tonight is no exception. We have a severe thunderstorm watch in southwestern Texas that's lasting until about 11 p.m. local time. Missouri and Mississippi and Alabama also dealing with severe thunderstorms this evening. And we've also had some pretty stormy activity over in Georgia as well. Let's bounce down and talk about the tropics now. So what we've been discussing over the last couple of days is the Eastern Pacific. So that hurricane season begins May 15th. Of course, we're past that date, and now we are actually watching some development that's taking place across the Eastern Pacific now. What I want you to look at on this map here, notice all of those clusters in the Eastern Pacific south of the Mexico border. Those are clusters of thunderstorms. So this area is strongly favored to develop into a cyclone within the next 48 hours. In fact, the National Hurricane Center is saying there's a near 100% chance that we could be seeing this turning into at least a tropical depression, if not a tropical storm, either tonight or into the day tomorrow. So if that occurs and we actually have a tropical storm that develops from this, meaning that you have those sustained winds from this low pressure system at 39 miles per hour, if that's the case, this is going to be our official first tropical storm of 2025, and it's going to have the name Alvin. So that's what we're waiting on from the National Hurricane Center tonight into tomorrow to see if this is actually going to reach that strength. But we are in a fairly favorable environment that we will see this strengthening. But is it going to be a full-blown hurricane impacting portions of Mexico? That's still being determined, because as it moves to the west-northwest at about 10 miles per hour, it's eventually going to be rolling into an environment that's not quite as conducive. So the water temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler the farther north that it goes, in addition to dealing with wind shear. And when you have wind shear, it just kind of tears those storms right apart. Let's talk about locally what we had today. High temperatures ended up topping out at 69 degrees at O'Hare, but average is 74. So again today, I believe today was the 9th day in a row that we've had cooler than average temperatures. But remember, that is going to change in a really big way, especially next week. So the next 10 days in Chicago, we're going to be in the low 60s tomorrow, 70s for several days, Thursday through Sunday, and then Monday all the way through the following week, possibly into next weekend. So 2 weekends from now, there's a really good chance that we are going to be well into the 80s. Several models are actually advertising that some locations could be touching 90 degrees. So it's going to get very, very warm, very summer-like going into next week. But it's been a very long-awaited warm-up for many of us. For tonight, 54 degrees. We'll have north-northeasterly winds, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Scattered light activity as far as those showers go. But then tomorrow, the best chance of rain, it's going to be during the morning, the midday hours. And of course, with all of that cloud cover, it is going to dampen how much we're able to warm up. So with low temperatures in the mid-50s, there's a lot of us that are only going to gain probably 8 to 10 degrees going into the afternoon. So your forecast high temperatures for tomorrow range from 50s at the lakefront into the mid-60s across the far south and southwestern sections. Places like Kankakee, Rensselaer, as well as LaSalle going to be in the mid-60s. Now here's a look at your 5-day forecast. Tomorrow we have 62 degrees. Scattered showers are expected, especially in the morning, the midday hours. On Thursday and Friday, there's just a really small chance of showers. I think most areas likely end up staying dry, but temperatures, those are really going to be the big story late this week. 70 degrees on Thursday, Friday 77. And then by Saturday, a little bit of a setback. We're also going to have a lake breeze pushing into the area on Saturday and Sunday. So that's going to cool temperatures during the afternoon. So if you're already kind of planning those beach days, just be aware that the afternoon hours, we are going to see those temperatures possibly plummeting at the lakefront. And then next week, that's when it's going to get much warmer. I'll have all the details, including a detailed look at your local forecast, coming up very soon on the news at 9 p.m. We'll see you then.